Good morning, grade 6. I hope that you're ready, you're awake, and you're excited for today's lesson. So let's get started. So today we will be doing a listen and speak. So I will be reading the story to you, and all you need to do is listen carefully. I've also put the story on the slide so you can read along with me, or when I'm done reading, you can pause it and read it on your own again. Okay, so this story is Anansi and the Snake. There was a time when Tiger was the king of the forest. Tiger lilies were named after him. Tiger moths were named after him, and stories of the forest were called tiger stories. Anansi, the spider, was a nobody. When the animals got together, they used to ask each other, "Who is the strongest animal?" And all the animals would shout, "Tiger!" Then they would ask, "Who is the weakest?" And everyone would shout, "Anansi!" and laugh. Anansi got sick and tired of this. One day he met Tiger in the forest. Now Tiger was much too important to bother talking to a speck of a spider. But Anansi spoke up and bravely said, "Tiger, I wonder if you would mind letting me have just one thing named after me." "What is it you want?" asked the tiger, looking down his nose. "I want the stories," replied Anansi. "I want them to be called Anansi stories." "All right," said the tiger, with a hefty flick of his tail. "If you capture Snake and bring him to me, all the stories will be called Anansi stories from now on." Anansi, who, as you know, was a very small but cunning, had no idea how he would capture Snake, who was very big. But he agreed to do it. First he made a noose out of strong vine and laid a trap in the forest, which he baited with berries. But when Snake came to eat the berries, Anansi found he was too small and weak to pull the noose closed, so Snake escaped. Every day that week, Anansi persisted with various traps. He dug pits and he made cages out of sticks. He tempted snakes with ripe bananas, mangoes, and a fat piglet, but nothing worked. Snake knew that Anansi was trying to trap him, and he always managed to escape. Anansi was starting to get desperate, but at last he had a plan. He went and sat right in the middle of Snake's yard. "Look at you," said Snake, who was very surprised to see him sitting there. "All week long you were trying to catch me, and now you sit here bare-faced in my yard?" "It's true," said Anansi. "I was trying to catch you, but for your own good. Now all the animals in the forest will continue to talk about you behind your back." "What are you talking about, Anansi?" asked Snake. "Well, I should not be telling you this, but all the animals are saying that you believe you are the longest animal around, that you think you are God's gift to longness. They are saying that even the shortest bamboo is longer than you." "Well, measure me, man," shouted Snake. "Cut down the longest bamboo and I will teach him about long." So Anansi cut down a long bamboo and Snake laid his body along its length. Anansi tied Snake's tail to one end with strong vine. "Stretch, Snake, stretch," called Anansi, and Snake sweated and stretched till his eyes were squeezed shut. Quick as a flash, Anansi tied Snake to the bamboo in his middle and at his head. When Snake opened his eyes, he realized what had happened. And this is how Anansi captured Snake, and why, from that day to this, the stories have been called Anansi stories. Okay, so that was the story of Anansi and the snake. You're more than welcome to pause the video read through the story again on your own. If I maybe read too fast or you missed anything or didn't understand, read it again by yourself. Okay, let's continue. Okay, before I get into the questions of today's lesson, in term 1, you learned about stereotypes. So I'm just quickly gonna refresh your memory, go through what a stereotype is. So a stereotype is a false belief that all people in a group have similar characteristics. For example, the belief that all people who wear glasses are clever is a stereotype. Stereotypes are very common in our society as we like to put others in boxes and label them. Stereotypes are strengthened by films and television, right? So I'm not going to read the rest of the paragraph. You have done this in term 1. So just refreshing your memory that stereotypes is a false belief that people who are in the same group have similar characteristics, right? So we're putting people in a box and labeling them just because maybe they're in the same group, they maybe look the same or maybe act the same. So we immediately create a stereotype around this group of people. Okay, so can everybody please open up the English textbooks on page 92? Like I said, we're doing a listen and speak today. So before you listen, questions reads. In term 2, you learn that a stereotype is a false belief that all people in a group have similar, often exaggerated characteristics. So that's just what I read to you in the previous slide. Animal characters can also be shown in stereotypical ways, right? So question 1 says, look at the pictures of the 3 main characters in the story. What qualities do you think these characters will have in the story? So obviously I already read the story to you. So you can still answer these questions, and we'll continue to the next page as well. Then page number 2 says, match the following animals with the stereotypical characteristics they are usually given in stories. So you just match those. And then number 3 says, do you think the pictures show the snake, tiger and spider in stereotypical ways? So those 3 questions you need to answer as well. Then on the left hand side of the page we have a word list. So the first word is exaggerated. So this means to enlarge the truth, right? Cunning means sly or crafty, and vanity means too much self-admiration. So that's a nice word list for you. Let's continue to the next page, page 93. So this is also questions you need to answer. So it's after you listen questions. So we just discussed the story of Anansi and the snake, and then you answer these questions. So they do say answer the questions in pairs. So obviously we would have done that if you were at school, but for now you will answer these questions on your own for homework. And then you know the drill already. You write your heading, date, page number and draw a line. So I first would like you to complete the before you listen questions on page 92, question 1 to 3, and then complete the after you listen questions on page 93, question 1 to 3. And as usual, they must be completed in your English workbook. So that's all for today's lesson. I hope you enjoyed the story about these animals, and you must enjoy doing your homework. So good luck, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.